Okay, as we continue my entrepreneurial journey as a pre-team with my card shop, Courtside Cards, world famous, the story was that I went from starting to write a little book or a little newspaper article every couple of weeks to opening up my own card shop and buying, selling, and trading cards and clearing $50 to $100 take home every single Saturday. So it was really a fun experience, but after a while, I wasn't growing that much, and I kind of flatlined, and I had a couple of friends that were quote unquote regular customers, and they would come in, every Saturday, hang out for a while. We'd listen to music and, trade cards a little bit, maybe buy or sell something from each other. But they pretty much had the same cards. And when I was kind of slower, I kind of had the same cards as well. So it was really about getting traffic. And like I said, it was in the basement of my dad's little office building, and it was in a very small town, and the neighboring towns were also pretty small. So, my pool of eligible customers that were interested in buying, selling, and trading basketball cards was small to begin with. So a couple of my friends had asked me, hey, could we go in business with you? And they liked the idea of it, and they kind of said like, hey, we could pool our resources, and, you'd have three of us kind of hitting the streets, putting up flyers and trying to advertise and all of that. And in my heart of hearts, I knew like that wasn't the right thing. And it's not that I didn't want to share what I was doing with anybody, and I wasn't trying to be selfish, but I knew like I was taking it seriously, even though it was a silly little thing that, I was going to stop when I got into high school. But it was something that I took seriously, and I wanted to put the effort into it. And for all of my friends that would show up and ask to be a part of it, it was just kind of something for them to do for a couple of hours on a Saturday, kind of hang out, and they would just kind of sit there. And it was like they just sort of had someone else in the room with them or whatever. They had another spot to ride their bike to, that kind of thing. So the lesson here is where I made the mistake, which was I said yes, which taking on a business partner isn't inherently bad. Although if you have a clear vision for your business, I think it's probably a better idea that you are the one in charge. Doesn't mean you can't hire support staff and you can't delegate and you can't automate parts of your business now. But back then, if I could tell myself, say, hey, you can hire them, pay them a flat fee to go do some of the aspects of the process of the job for you, like the advertising. One person goes up, puts flyers, I'll pay you $20. One person makes the flyer, I'll pay you $10. I should have done something like that. And then I could have focused more on how can I actually grow the business, because the internet really wasn't a thing back then, or it was just on the very beginning of it. So I had to probably spend more time or talk to my parents or maybe some other parents or talk to other people at the card shops or card shows about how they grew their business. So I should have been doing more of that. But instead, what I did was I asked my friends, or my friends asked me, and I said yes. So now I took away a couple of my customers and I made them part of my business. And now I had a table in my dad's office. One friend had a table and next to me, and then another friend had a table next to me, and there might have even been a third one. So I essentially took three of my customers and made them business partners, but they didn't have any skin in the game. I was the one that was still doing all of the work, and I was the one that was still responsible for most of the stuff most of the time. So the lesson is, for me, I think I was reluctant to say no because being a younger person, I thought that if I said no, that would mean to them that we weren't going to be friends, or I didn't want to be friends with them, or I didn't trust them, or whatever. And, being young and not being able to kind of have the wherewithal or the vocabulary or, the ability to kind of communicate like, hey, I appreciate the offer. But so the lesson for me in that is that I was afraid to say no to my friends. And I was afraid that would lead to them being upset with me. And because of that, I said yes and let them be a part of the business. I lost a couple of customers. I took on, essentially dead weight because they really didn't have much to bring to the table other than just a few extra cards. But they weren't really doing anything to go out and promote or help increase this business or bring in any money. They didn't have any new ideas, or they didn't talk about, trying to pool money to do something, to buy something else or attend a card show together or whatever. So because of that, saying yes and letting them be part of the business was something I did because I was afraid to say no and just kind of go about that myself. And I also think that one of the things that I was struggling with was I was saying yes to people that didn't actually really want to put in the work to be successful. They were interested in just being sort of success adjacent. And it's like, hey, if I stand next to someone who's successful, then I'll be successful. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. And again, putting all this in context, I was a 12-year-old selling basketball cards, making $50. It's not like I was the definition of success. But I think that speaks volumes about certain people, about the kind of effort that they're willing to put in. And at the time, it said a lot about me that I didn't understand maybe how to run a business. Again, I was 12, but that's a really good lesson that I think you can parlay that or relay that into today being adults is when we do things that maybe we know we shouldn't, but we're doing it because we're trying to be a team player or we're doing it to try to fit in or appease someone or whatever the case is, when kind of deep down we know that probably we should be going a different route or we should be passing on that opportunity or that collaboration or that project that's got a lot of people or whatever the case is. So for me, the lesson is not being willing to sacrifice what I've built or what any of us have built at work or any kind of side projects or anything like that. Don't be willing to sacrifice that because you don't want to have a tough conversation with your friends or people that are customers or coworkers or whatever the case is.